What's up YouTube? Welcome back to Simplify It, where we're breaking down the ACS piece by piece every single day. My name's Garrett, I'm a flight instructor, and today we're looking at Task A Part 2, which is privileges and limitations, and we're just going to get right into it. So luckily for this one, we've only got one regulation that's worth memorizing. There is a second regulation that's worth noting so that you can refer to it if you have to, but not worth memorizing completely. The important one is 61.113. So if you have your FAR aim on your iPad, phone, or in paper, I recommend highlighting or bookmarking this regulation because you definitely will get asked about it in your check ride in some form or another. But essentially 61.113 lays out our privileges and limitations as private pilots once we get our license. So first let's talk about some privileges. So we have the privilege of splitting costs with others, and we call that pro rata. And this basically means that you cannot get paid to fly, but you can have people split the cost with you. So if you're with one person, you can split the cost 50%. If you're with two people, you guys can split it 3 ways, and so on and so forth. In the regulation, they do limit what can be split itself. It's limited to fuel, airport fees, oil, and rental fees. So pro rata cannot include maintenance fees for the plane. If you have to get it fixed up to go on a trip, you can't ask your friends to help pay for the maintenance to go on that trip. Another privilege is that you get to be PIC, or pilot in command. You get to exercise your pilot in command authority, which also means you can carry passengers. Now again, we can only be compensated fairly with our pro rata share evenly, but there are some ways that we can get some hours and get reimbursed for it laid out in this regulation as well. First off, in no way can we carry people or property and get compensated for it. But what we can do is fly for a charitable organization, and the rules for that are laid out in 91.146. We're not going to get into it in this video, but if you're interested in getting some hours that way, go ahead and check it out. Next way we can be reimbursed is via search and location jobs. Now keep in mind, this is reimbursed for our costs, so we can't get reimbursed for our same costs as up here: fuel, oil, airport fees, rental fees, and then get extra money on top of that. This is only the reimbursement for those fees. There's also only certain agencies and state-owned organizations that can carry out these search and location operations that you can volunteer for. So if you are going to do this, just make sure you're doing it in a legal way. Next thing you can do is a little out there, but you can be an aircraft salesman, and if you've got over 200 hours, you can demonstrate the aircraft for a client in flight and be compensated for it. Now, in the regulation, this is not laid out specifically. I'll put it on screen of what it says, but it's my understanding that many salesmen work via a salary plus commission. So the implication from this verbiage is that it's okay for an aircraft salesman to get paid a salary, and if he sells an aircraft that he demonstrated and flew, he can get a commission for selling that aircraft, which in a sense you can see he's getting paid for flying, even though it's really just for demonstrating, but he does have a passenger on board. Now, I am not a legal authority or a lawyer, so if this is something that you're interested in, or you want to get compensated in really any way as a private pilot, what I would do is call your local FSDO, which stands for Flight Standards District Office, and I would just ask them if whatever you're trying to do is okay, because they are the authority in your local area. And if they tell you that you can do it, then you can do it. If they say that there's a problem with that, then don't do it. All right, and for our limitations, we've got the bigger ones noted here. There are some more obscure ones that you'll find talked about, but you're not going to get asked about those. So as a private pilot, if you just have your private pilot license and no other ratings on top of that, you can fly for ASEL airplane single engine land. We'll caveat that. You can fly a plane that's up to 12,500 pounds as long as it's also not turbine powered. However, if you get a type rating for whatever plane it is that you're wanting to fly, then you can fly that plane. So if you want to fly a 747, you're going to have to get a multi-engine add-on as well as a type rating for a 747, and you can fly it with a private pilot license. Next thing you have a limitation on, if again you just have your private pilot license, you can't go in Class A airspace still, and you can't fly through the clouds. But if you just go ahead and get your instrument rating, then you can do those things. And last but not least is that other regulation I was telling you about, 61.117, which basically states that you can't be second in command in a plane that requires 2 pilots or more. You can be pilot in command of that plane, which is ironic, but you can't be second in command of it. It's kind of an obscure scenario for most of us, but it's worth mentioning, I guess, because it is a limitation and it's a regulation. But that's going to conclude today's video, guys. It's a little bit shorter today. Not as many regulations are tied to privileges and limitations, so hopefully I can get even another video up today. Stay tuned for that. If you enjoyed the video or you found it a little bit helpful, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell, because we're going to be uploading the ACS every single day, piece by piece, until we have the full ACS on the channel. But alrighty guys, I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow.